out there today? I know that's the first step you were talking about. Where do you think he's going to be progression-wise?
Yeah, really, it'd just be based on how he's making out, how he's feeling. This is the first step. More of a non-contact morning day skate, and just gradually escalate the physicality in practice and one-on-one stuff, and see where he's at. So, no set date, just how he progresses will get us to where we need to go.
You got 4 games left before the break. Is it possible you could get into one of those?
My initial response is probably not, but you never know how a guy can progress. I was out there for a while with him yesterday, and then him skating today. I think that the easy skating part, the shooting part, the non-competitive part, looks good. Just got to get in that hard compete and see how his body reacts to it.
What would you like to see from Connor Clifton as far as just the way he adapts to the system, I guess?
I've liked him. The other night he actually was a late. I can just share this. He was going to play, and he was sick. Yesterday's practice still, he wasn't feeling very well, but practiced and was more like a half speed. So again, he'll be out. We've had that bug going around. He's lost quite a bit of weight, and so I think sometimes you look at scratches, you think it might be me, but sometimes it's not me.
You're playing Nashville tonight. Ordinarily, it's a Western Conference team, whatever. How much has it changed that you're playing them again in a week? You might take more from this game into another game that's a week away.
I think you can always use, when you're playing an opponent that you don't play very much, you can always use that previous game. I think they use it. We use it. I think you get a handle on their special teams. You're playing quick back to back. How aggressive they want to forecheck, how involved, a fourth guy is on the rush. And I think, that's the area we looked at this morning was, you've got a Brady Shea and you got Yossi and you got people that are getting up ice that, again, are a little bit what we practiced yesterday of not giving up that once we get in the zone, that second layer of opportunity to the other team.
What's it mean to you personally, the team to be honoring Rob tonight?
It actually means the world to me, because here is a guy that on most nights doesn't get rewarded for what he does, but for what he did for all his teammates is something that in the era he played was so important. If you look how he started out in the minors, what he did. How many times he had to fight, and usually that fighting isn't for him. The fighting is always for teammates. To create and I've said it, to create where there's comfort for your other guys can operate. And it might be somebody that stirred up something that Rob would have to go take care of, and he didn't have to be asked. He knew what he had to do. He knew when to do it. He did it. Because he knew, why and when, he did it for a long time. You look at his career, pretty impressive. And he's got a lot of teammates that can just say, thanks, Razor. I appreciate what you did. That doesn't mean he was the first star of the night or the second star a lot of times. But he was definitely a key player.
As we get to yesterday and kind of piggybacking on those, what are your memories of the Toronto goal? Is this a moment that stands from that series that was so unlikely for the guy who did it, and the camera pans to you and you're laughing on the bench? What do you think?
I was so excited. You've got to enjoy. It's a moment that you thoroughly enjoy. I'll share this with you. The other night I got caught clapping after Upi's save 2-0. Because it was so impressive. Well, I just got caught up in the moment. I just went, stupid play on our part, and here's the goalie that makes an unbelievable save, and I was standing there just clapping like everybody else. for Razor to get rewarded and, and get caught in that big moment was, and just, his reaction, it was, it's one of those moments you'll never forget. It was, I always find that those guys that, don't get in that moment a lot, when they get there, it's something you got to enjoy.
What about that role? The game has evolved. That role isn't really around anymore. Why do you think that role kind of went out of the game?
I think it's where the game has got to, that the high level skill, the high level of speed, that every team has injected more and more players that you don't have to answer the bell. Just ignore it. That is where the game has kind of got. The intimidation, you don't have to answer it. If before, the era back there, if you didn't answer the bell, you were called, you can make up whatever name you want. Or you were chased off the ice. Now it's not automatic that this is a team thing now. You want your guys to look after each other. You all in on plays where you need everybody all in, but that part has disappeared, Paul.
Rough as he is, as an exterior that he has, a lot of people know him as a softie at heart. What do you make of that? What do you make of the two sides of that?
I've been around a lot of those guys that are exactly like that. I think it's his understanding of what his job was. Let's use another one of his, teammates or a guy that's been around a long time. Let's use Larry Playfair. Larry's probably one of the nicest guys you could be around. The Razor, same thing. But did they understand? They understand what it meant to do their job, and when to do it. And I think there's one thing to be a good player. I'd rather see the guy be a good person first. And Razor was a good person. And Larry was in the same category. He was probably the reason I lasted as long as I did in the league was I was around a guy like that when I first started, because I was getting beat up a lot. But I knew I had support. And I think Razor's teammates felt the same.
Didn't you have to center a line with Larry?
I did. You know who the other winger was?
Val James?
Yeah, very good.
You mentioned Rob going into the minors.
Hell of a line, eh, Paul?
You mentioned Rob going.
You know who we were playing?
Boston.
Yeah, for sure.
Shoe bottom?
Yeah, we had all kinds of. That's what the game was. I felt pretty good out there.
You mentioned Rob going to the minors and sort of.
I think I read a comment. I think Brad Park. Somebody said, "No, that line's not out here to score." Oh God! That's how the game has progressed.
Speaking of progression, like you mentioned Rob being in the minors and making his way back up. If you look at Luke Shen on the other side of the ice tonight, at 700 games he gets demoted to the AHL, comes back, hits 1,000 games. 1,000 games is kind of one of those things where from the outside it's appreciated, but on the inside within NHLers it's like a huge accomplishment. Can you touch on that a little bit in respect to also being sent down in the middle of that to the AHL and making your way back?
Well, I think it's a determination by a player, especially in his case, where the league has basically said to him, we think you're done. And he resurrected whatever he did. I have no idea what he did, whether it was fitness, whether it was... You can make a determination that, my career's on the downhill, I've been demoted to minors, and okay, this is it. Or you can just say to yourself, is there something I can do to get back? I think he said something to himself to say, I'm going to get back. Whether that's fitness, whether that's I'm going to become a better skater, I'm going to train differently, whatever that is. He made that decision, and you're right, 1,000 games is a lot. You look at the number of games Razor played, that's a lot of games. Incredible, really. But any player that hits 1,000 in today in the game has done a lot of good things to get there.